All right, here we go. Iron Bowl week is upon us. We are counting down to the day when heads will clash. It'll be a matter of wills and the destiny of the Auburn Tigers to overcome adversity. Nah, I'm not really that pumped up about it. I was trying to be. Did I do a good job of faking it?
Hey man, I was excited for you there for a minute.
Nah, I ain't that excited. I'm excited about the game. I don't know. It'd be great if something like that happens. Here we go. It's one of our big Iron Bowl shows as we lead up to the big game this weekend. My name's Brett Mason. I am the Barner around here. My buddy, the Bammer, Jamie Thomas, is in the house. War Eagle.
Roll Tide.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what happens going forward. We've done a bunch of shows about the Iron Bowl and talk. I don't know what else we can say about the Iron Bowl. Let's look about going forward and talk about some scenarios. Auburn's is a little bit murkier, I think. I don't know that their projection was changed that much if they upset Alabama. That's the interesting thing. They're pretty much playing for what they're playing for. Yeah. We don't have a lot of hopes of anything great. I mean, the bowl that Auburn is playing is the Iron Bowl. That's our bowl game. And that's why it's good to be an Alabama or an Auburn fan, because you always got a bowl game every year. I mean, this game is huge. It's as a matter of fact, a lot of years like this year, when you do make a bowl game, depending on how your team is doing, it's actually a letdown because the actual bowl game is not anything near as exciting as the Iron Bowl was, and that'll be the case this year, I think. But we'll talk a little bit about Auburn. I mean, I don't understand the bowl process that much because there's 78 bowls or some crazy number like that. But, I mean, you think about it. To be bowl eligible, you only got to win 6 games. I mean, that tells you something right there that the bowl system is just for about making money. It's not about good teams playing each other. But it seems like the consensus is that Auburn is projected to go play in the Belk Bowl against Clemson, which I couldn't be any less excited about that. I'll just be honest. I haven't even watched Clemson play this year. I haven't even seen them play a game this year.
I've watched them a few times. You know, it's typical Clemson. You know, they win a couple of big ones, they lose the games they shouldn't lose. You know, they're a lot like Nebraska. They get up for the big games, and then, you know, they'll play somebody like South Carolina State and they'll struggle. You know, but I think that's a pretty good matchup for Auburn. Both teams are, you know, a little down this year. You know, it's there's a little bit of an Iron Bowl undertone to that game with Dabo being the head coach at Clemson. So I think that's an interesting matchup. Of course, you know, we were talking about the Belk Bowl. The other game that I'm seeing right now, you know, they're talking about the Citrus Bowl and possibly playing against Wisconsin. I mean, that's another good game, another good matchup. I think you know, a Big Ten style football team that's about as close to you get to SEC football outside of the SEC. So I think there's 2 really good possible matchups for Auburn.
Now, look, I would like that game. Wisconsin is one of the teams that's not in the SEC that I actually like to watch play. So I've watched them play this year, several games. I like to watch that team play. I would be interested in that game. That game would get me interested. Clemson, not so much. So we'll see how it goes. I tell you the problem that Auburn could have, depending on how you come off the Iron Bowl. We could have what happened to Alabama last year, where Alabama just didn't care and went and pooped a big egg in their bowl game. And so if that happens, it makes it even worse. So, and I'll tell you, I think there's an internal issue going on in the locker rooms at Auburn, and I hope I'm wrong, because once that starts, it really takes a coaching change to fix it. Or it takes players leaving to fix it, which, you know, if it's some players that are leaving, then that's fine. It'll fix itself. But those guys aren't playing like they played the first half of the season. You watch them. They're not physical. They don't. You know, when you see guys coming at them, it's like they halfway want to tackle them, but not really. It's not like they're missing tackles. They're just not attacking the ball. Which to me means there's no passion and no fire, which to me means there's an issue in the locker room, most likely coaching related. So if that's the case, I mean, the rest of the season's doomed no matter what. I really hope I'm wrong about that. I hope I'm wrong about it.
Well, I mean, there's been rumors like that flying, since Whitehead got kicked off the team and then was let back on the team. I think there was some dissension in the ranks among the coaching staff. Some of the coaching staff wanted Whitehead back. Some of them didn't want Whitehead back. And then, once he got back, I think there was, some resistance from, Ellis Johnson about whether or not he was actually going to pay or actually going to play. I don't know. It's just not. They don't seem to have that that confidence on the sideline that we saw them last year. They don't seem to have that confidence on the field. There's got to be something going on behind the scenes that we're just not privy to. Being on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Nevertheless, I don't care about the bowl. Since Miranda Lambert's going to be at the Belk Bowl, I guess maybe I should pull for that one.
Yeah, you can go to belkbowl.com and register for a chance to meet Miranda Lambert.
Oh, well, hell, I'm ending this show right now where I can, or I'm going to sign up while you're talking. Next time you're talking, I'm signing up for that. So let's talk about Alabama going forward from the Iron Bowl. Obviously, if they win, they're going to be probably pretty pumped up, considering if they survive without getting beat up. There's no major injuries. They're reasonably healthy. I think they'd be a holy terror in the SEC championship game. We still don't know how to play that. Missouri still has a shot, right? It's Missouri and Georgia and.
I think it's pretty much Missouri now. Georgia doesn't have any conference games left. I think Missouri is pretty much in.
Well, Missouri is a good team this year. Nobody's talked about them, but they're a pretty good team. I mean, they're missing some elements. They're not overwhelming or anything, but they're a pretty solid team. I think that would be a good game. I would like to see that rather than I was really dreading if it came down to Alabama playing because God help us when Florida had a shot at getting in. I was like, please don't let that happen. The Georgia game may have been okay. I guess Georgia or Missouri, either one I'd have been okay with. Missouri is the team that hasn't been in the SEC long enough for me to hate them passionately yet, like I do a lot of other SEC teams. So I actually find myself rooting for them to do well at times.
Okay. Missouri has to win. If Missouri wins this weekend, they're in. So I guess it's a play-in game for them. Georgia still does have a chance, but if Missouri wins, then it's Missouri and the winner from the West.
Well, as the resident Bama fan, which one of those games would you rather see?
I mean, the Bama-Georgia game a couple of years ago was, one of the best championship games I've ever seen. That game, in my opinion, and I think if you ask, college football fans, that game was really the national championship game, especially the way Bama come out and dominated Notre Dame. I would like to see, what Bama could do against Nick Chubb, of course, Gurley's not going to be back. He's got the ACL. But against a back like Nick Chubb, I would like to see if they would be able to stop him because he has absolutely been running wild the last couple of weeks.
How crazy is it that Todd Gurley was the Heisman candidate, and then when he goes out, this Chubb kid comes in. He's a true freshman, right? He's not even a redshirt. He's a true freshman.
Yeah, true freshman.
Just runs like. He's insane. That kid is insane. Oh, my God, he has such a career ahead of him if he can stay healthy. So I guess from a matchup standpoint, that'd be strength on strength, so that would probably make that game interesting. You're probably right. And I think from a passion standpoint, too, even though I'd prefer personally to see him play Missouri because I don't have a dog in that fight, there's much more of a history between Georgia and Alabama. You do actually have some bad blood there a little bit. Where I don't think there's all that much bad blood between Missouri and Alabama. You don't quite have that passionate aspect, that rivalry aspect that would come into it, which would probably make it a little bit better game as well.
Yeah, definitely be more intensity, I think, with Georgia on the field. It really doesn't matter, though. Bama, they tend to get up for those games. I think going again against either one, they're going to be the favorite.
So, I mean, when you look past that, I don't know if this could exactly be a scenario like you talked about earlier where the SEC championship game would actually be the championship game. But I think there's a few teams that could wind up in the big game where it would be that case. I think on a neutral field, I think Alabama pummels Mississippi State. I think against Florida State, I think it would be kind of interesting, but uh, I don't think that game would be close if Alabama was up for it. If they were up for it and prepared well and played like they could play, I don't think that game would be close either. I don't think that game would be that interesting. I don't think there'd be a
Yeah.
comeback. I don't think you'd see a Jameis Winston comeback for sure.
I don't think you would either. I like the matchup Alabama Florida State because I think Alabama wins that one. I think even playing a team like Oregon, Bama matches up better. Speed for speed. Bama's more physical. The teams that scare me the most that have the potential to bust in the playoff is Baylor and TCU. I think they play really good football. They're physical, but they also run that wide open offense. They're going to score a lot of points. Out of all the teams that have the chance of making this, those two are the two teams that as a Bama fan, they scare me the most.
Well, it's funny you mention that because those teams, especially this Baylor team, who I remember I played poker with a guy back when I played poker for a living, and he always wore a Baylor hat. I didn't even know who Baylor was at that time. Like during that time, you never saw Baylor on TV. Nobody ever talked about Baylor. So they're a Johnny-come-lately to me. But, I mean, they've been an impressive team the past few years, and they're another product of the hurry-up offense. I mean, that's where the success comes from. And you bring up a good point. That has historically been Alabama's weakness. I don't know if it still is. I think they're playing better against those kind of offenses.
No.
But I think that I agree with you. It'd be more challenging. The thing that you probably don't want to talk about, but we would be remiss if we didn't cover this, is what happens if Alabama loses the Iron Bowl. What happens then? They still get into the playoffs because I'm assuming Mississippi State's going to lose. So they're still nothing keeps them from being the representing the West, correct?
If Mississippi State loses, Bama can still get in. But we've talked about this before. I don't know if a two-loss SEC team, even being the SEC champions, would they deserve to be in a playoff, whether it be Bama or Mississippi State, or even if it were Auburn. Absolutely, they would deserve it. But I just think that the rest of the world, the rest of the country, and even these folks that are on this playoff committee, I think they are looking for every reason they can to keep the SEC out of this.
Well, I'm not going to sound like an SEC homer right here, and I'm probably going to say something that's extremely unpopular, but I think you got to draw the line in the sand. I don't think you ever put a two-loss team in a championship game ever. I don't care if it's Auburn. Look, the Auburn fan inside me would like it if it happened. I would feel very fortunate, but I think I'd feel icky, like I needed a shower after it was over. I think you got to draw a line somewhere, and I think if you can't do better than a two-loss season, I don't think you've earned the right. And I don't care about your schedule. I don't care about the conference you play in. Look, you signed up for that. You can't tout it as being a benefit and then turn around and say, oh, but poor me, we can play in the toughest conference in the land.
That's right.
You can't have it both ways. So I think I just think you got to draw a line in the sand. And I'm like you. I don't think there's any kind of possibility of any two-loss team ever getting in. I tell you what, you want to talk about some SEC hate? Oh God! If that happened, the SEC hate would be huge, and
especially if they went on to win it.
Well, I think less so, because I think if they went on to win it, they'd prove they deserved to be there. But what if they went on to lose it? I tell you what, if that happened and they went on to lose the game, which I don't know that I can picture anybody that would beat Alabama. There's a couple teams, like you said, that make it close, but I still think Alabama probably wins. I think they would probably win it if that happens. It'd be interesting to see if for some reason that does happen and Alabama goes on to play for a runner-up bowl. Do you think you see a repeat of last year where they just don't get up for the game and suddenly you have a three-loss season or four-loss season?
It does, but I mean, what you want to see is you want to see them go out and you want to see them compete, no matter what ball game they're playing in or what ball game they're playing in. And as Bama fans, we're getting just really tired of hearing the excuse, well, they just weren't up for it. It wasn't the championship game, so they weren't up for it. Well, that's bull crap. there's a lot of money that the coaching staff's paid. These players are getting free rides. They're getting education. This is why, you hate to say it, but it's a business, and this is why they're brought into the university. They need to get up for that game no matter what. I understand, there's a letdown when you're not playing for the championship when you worked hard all year. But look at it. There's other teams that they do the same thing. They go through the same thing every year. They play the whole season, and they're not playing for the championship game, and their coaching staff is able to get them up. So, yeah, I'm worried about it because, it seems like it's not just the players. It seems like it's the coaching staff as well. But I hope we don't make it there.
Well, since you already have predicted, I think you predicted earlier that Auburn was going to win the Iron Bowl. You should probably get prepared for that. Did I hear it wrong? Did I hear something wrong?
I definitely think you should maybe check the reception on your end of your headset there.
We did score predictions in a different show other than this, and we may alter our ones again. Who knows? But as of right now, as of this show, what's your score prediction for the Iron Bowl?
I'm gonna stick with 31-20.
31-20 Auburn. Oh, Bama. I was confused. I'm going 37-34. Alabama misses a field goal at the end. It's going to be fantastic. Matter of fact, Alabama might quit playing football after this game. They might shut down. They've been talking about this talk about ending football at UAB. They've been talking about that, and the Blazers not playing football anymore. If that happens, I predict that UAT will stop playing football, and UAB will be the new Alabama football.
I tell you what, if Auburn beats Alabama this year, I will take you to lunch every day for a week. Your choice.
Every day for a week. Anywhere I want to go?
Anywhere you want to go.
I want to add one thing to it, and then I'll let you throw in what you want if the opposite happens. But you take me to lunch anywhere I want to go. But you eat lunch, and I get to pick what you eat.
Okay.
Because I'm a vegan, which makes me sound not very manly. So, but if I win this, and you have to take me to lunch for a week, we have to go eat where I want to eat, and it will be vegan, and you have to eat a vegan meal for all 5 of those lunches. You got to eat vegan. What I tell you?
I did not get in this wonderful shape I'm in by turning down food. So if it's edible, I'll try it.
So you pretty much get to name your price. Obviously, the reverse, I'll buy. But the thing is I can't eat what you tell me to eat for a week because I ain't.
Oh, now wait a minute now.
I can't. I can't eat no meat, man. It just ain't happening.
So you don't want the 32-ounce porterhouse?
No, I will not be having a 30-ounce porterhouse. You can add some other stipulation to it if you like, though. I'll buy you lunch for a week, and you can add some stipulation to it.
I'll leave that up to you. Okay. All right. I get to we're going to go to one of my favorite places in town, and I get to choose the heat level that you have to eat your vegan meal in.
I hate heat. That would be the worst. I'm not a heat eater. Okay. We'll do that, but just one meal, right? Not
and our waiter has to be a clown.
Oh God, man. Okay, I'll agree to it, man. I'm gonna tell you that could go badly. That you could be an accessory to murder in that. I just want you to be aware of that. Jeez.
We'll see. Gotta make it interesting.
I don't like spicy food, and I hate clowns. That'd be the worst. Come on, Auburn Tigers. All right, well, the Iron Bowl just got really interesting. We'll see what happens, brother. I look forward to it. We'll talk about the aftermath after it's over, and I hope you guys have the worst look ever, and War Eagle.
Roll Tide, buddy. Roll Tide.